Mental illness will affect 1 in every 4 people at some point in their lives. As yet, there is no known cure, but there is effective medical treatment, allowing most of the people affected by mental illness to live relatively normal lives. With mental illness, each individual's experience is as unique as their own personal history.
But it wasn't until I had a nervous breakdown myself 3 years ago that I realised what schizophrenia meant. It doesn't mean you have a split personality, it just means that at times you don't cope as well as others cope with difficult, stressful situations.
It was in 1992, that's 7 years ago. I was teaching in Provence in France, near Marseille, and I had gone through a very rough relationship with a woman, and then my first psychotic feeling was when I became visually deluded. I thought that newspapers were talking about me, and so I had to go into hospital.
One of the main problems facing people with mental illness today is the sheer lack of awareness regarding their condition. Despite some prevailing beliefs, mental illness does not affect intelligence, nor does it make one more prone to violence. In fact, people with schizophrenia are more likely to be victims of abuse and violence than perpetrators.
It stripped me of most of the things in my life for a while, but then I got back to those things on 3 different occasions, but I had breakdowns on different occasions. So really it stripped me of my status in life and of course my confidence. So it takes a while to get back the confidence.
To be honest, I never really felt I was that ill, and at times, I mean, I know I've had an illness, I definitely have had symptoms of something.
Well, most people's misconception is that people are stark raving mad, uncontrollable, and that they have a dual personality, with all the classical misconceptions. But of course, nowadays with modern medication, a person can be mentally ill for just a short period of time, maybe a week or 2 weeks, and then they come out of it and they're quite normal, except maybe that they're lacking in confidence, or maybe due to elation and then depression, they're depressed for some period of time.
Ironically, misconceptions about mental illness actually contribute to its most debilitating effects. Fear, embarrassment, isolation, a sense of being shut out of mainstream society. In real terms, this means that people with mental illness are denied access, not just to the workplace, but also to training and education. Within the education system today, physical disability is certainly catered for. It's an obvious, visible issue. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for mental illness. The support and counselling facilities needed to guarantee access just aren't there.
There's a lot of emphasis now on access for people with disability into 3rd level education. However, the focus generally tends to be on physical access. People understand what people with a wheelchair need when they're going to university. What people can't really get their head around is what access and supports that people with mental illness need in university.
I think given the chance, people with mental disabilities are quite capable of doing anything, provided that there is the right atmosphere and people who are understanding, which is true for most people in everyday life, you know.
It's very important that universities and all educators understand that the misconceptions that they have about people who have mental health problems, they are exactly that, they're misconceptions. They're quite capable and intelligent human beings. It's very often that people associate a mental health problem with an intelligence deficit. You suddenly lose your IQ or drop your IQ because you have a mental health problem. That's totally unfounded and very unfair.
After periods of mental illness, some people can have temporary problems with memory and concentration. With the right support and encouragement, though, these problems can be overcome quickly and effectively. It's particularly important in the case of college students who need to maintain their ability to study. Securing access for mentally ill students doesn't mean changing the third level system, it means adapting it. A focus on interview performance rather than points and exam results at the admission stage. Project-based rather than exam-based coursework, and the provision of suitable support and counselling facilities. Mental illness is a psychiatric disability, and those affected by it need support. It's an access issue, and the groundwork has already been done.
Pathways came about as a result of a couple of years' experience of working with people with mental illness who trained in community arts, community performing arts. And there was an opportunity for us to develop a programme, an action plan, which would look to provide professional theatre training for people with mental illness.
Eventually the development officer with SI was wondering, was there some way of taking it further? Was there, how could we, push that further, get European funding and maybe run a major project? And at that point, which was on a train to Belfast, I believe, over breakfast at some point, was basically the idea came about to start an actual course for professional performance or professional theatre, not just limited to performance at that point. From there, really, it just grew. The important thing really, though, was giving people access to theatre as an art form of their own.
Pathways Theatre Training Course is a modular, innovative course in the performing arts funded by the EU Horizon programme and sponsored by Schizophrenia Ireland, the Abbey Theatre and Equity, the Irish Actors Union.
In an early meeting with Equity, this very point was made. Somebody saying, this is a terrible profession. So many people are constantly out of work. And basically our feeling, our response was, this group, this sector should have the same right to succeed or fail and have access as any other group in the community. And I think that's something that was very important to both of us.
About 2 years ago, I was actually approached by 2 theatre practitioners and a representative from Schizophrenia Ireland, and they talked to me about setting up this programme. And it seemed to me that it was the kind of programme that the objectives were very kind of congruent with the objectives of the Outreach Education Programme. So it was out of that meeting, I suppose, that the meat of the partnership developed.
The flexible modular format of the course was uniquely adapted to the needs of its students, designed to provide support and to accommodate those who might need time away from the group.
We were interested in the training programme as well because it was modular. First of all, it was very flexible and it was taking a very integrated approach to the training. And I suppose it was a chance for us to kind of make real and very concrete the kind of aspirations of our disability equality policy, to be genuinely inclusive and to provide a space for people with mental illness to, I suppose, to do what we would describe as kind of participate in the making of culture, which is what the principles of cultural democracy are all about.
Ultimately, the success of the course came down to the skills and commitment of the tutors and management.
You see, from day one, the illness was not an issue, right? The work was the issue, and the faith in the people doing the course that they can do this work.
We're very human in our approach, and I think a human approach would be very necessary, where there's flexibility, also a little bit of pressure when it's needed.
The aim of the Pathways course was twofold: developing the theatre skills of the participants, creating an integrated drama company with links to the mainstream performing arts sector. And it was designed as a template for mainstream teaching and the training sector, a way to guarantee access for people with mental illness.
Schedules in third level institutions don't always allow that, but we feel there's a model emerging from this work which is, for Ireland, quite unique.
In August, the Pathways Theatre project went to France to perform the play Wojciech, the story of a man disenfranchised from his society.
How are you feeling, Maeve?
I'm feeling fine, a little bit tired.
Yeah.
Maybe the sun has something to do with that. But otherwise, I'm grand.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the rehearsal now, the dress rehearsal, to hear a little bit of an audience.
Yeah.
No! They're gone already! There's a woman lying out there!
How have you found the whole experience of being in France? Positive, negative, interesting?
Very positive. I think it gives us a break from our normal routine. And the fact that we're playing in a festival, it's a challenge for us.
Yeah.
So it makes us feel that we're special.
The performance will now begin. I don't mean he, I mean you.
If I throw this cat out of the window, how will it, in accordance with its instincts, maintain the centre of gravity? Very good, Wojciech. You'll get a rise. Just keep it up.
I have a shirt that isn't mine, my soul stinks of
The Pathways course started in June 1998 with 17 participants and finished in December 1999 with 11. Like any post-leaving or third-level curriculum, the intensity of the course didn't suit everyone, even with the best supports in place. The 18-month course included 2 full theatrical productions, a drama festival and ultimately an NCVA-accredited qualification for every graduate. Beyond this, there were other, even more important lessons learned.
I remember asking the group at an evaluation session after the first run of Wojciech in Trinity at Christmas, have you ever worked this hard before? And some of people in our group have been teachers, have been professionals in various fields at different points in their life. And the standard answer was no, I've never worked this hard. I've never worked hours this long. I've never worked in this kind of intensity of an environment. And yet, you know, one of the great concerns, I think, of the outside world about this process is that too much for this kind of group? Is it too much pressure? No, it wasn't.
I think we would have learned a lot about the kind of support structures that you might put in place for an actor who chooses to disclose that they have had mental health difficulties or mental health problems. And I think we'd really look at the kind of the actor-director kind of manager relationship in that. And I think that that's been very significant for us as well. And I think we've also learned a lot about, I suppose, mental health as well, and how you define mental health or mental illness.
I suppose for me, what I've realised throughout the year is that for every individual, no matter what the circumstances they're coming from, there is a path, there is a way. And all that it's incumbent upon us to do is to find that way or help them find that path to self-expression, to creativity.
The legacies of the course were in the methods tested and the lessons learned along the way. These have generated a series of recommendations, a template for students to access and exchange information with the college, and for the college to provide support structures which are integrated and straightforward, not isolated. The recognition of mental illness as a disability, an access issue, not a health issue. Transparent written access policies and procedures for students with disabilities, and a clear way to alert the college registrar to their need for extra academic and counselling support. Counselling, academic support structures should be complementary and not isolated. Access officers should make all these supports known to students. Opportunities for academic staff to receive awareness training. These measures offer students with mental illness something they would never have had before: access. Even though each individual's experience of mental illness is as unique as their own personal history, there is at least one thing they all share: a basic need, so fundamental that everyone else takes for granted. It's called a fair chance.
I saw some of the most extraordinary moments of theatre that I've ever seen in my life happen on that stage. And at one point I remember turning to somebody and saying, can you tell me one reason why any of these people shouldn't be on any stage in the world? And there was no possibility. It was a rhetorical question, because there was no reason.